The rumors, the reports, the leaks were true. Santa Monica, Cory Barlog was indeed working on a new God of War game, but they said it was going to be basically a new IP. It was going to be a spin-off. It was going to look very, very different. And while, yes, there was a new God of War game, and it is focused on Faye, this game seems to be a lot bigger and a lot more exciting. And let me tell you, this game looks incredible. It was finally revealed at the PlayStation State of Play June 2nd to kick off Summer Games Fest, and we have a lot to talk about. Let's do it. Welcome back to Player Way. Johnnymmer here, and today we get to talk about God of War Laufey. I'm hopefully pronouncing it right, Laufey. Please correct me if I'm mispronouncing that. I want to get it right, but it's a very interesting word. God of War Laufey was just announced at the PlayStation State of Play June 2nd to kick off Summer Games Fest, and yeah, let's just say it's created shockwaves, to say the least, throughout the gaming industry, throughout social media, throughout all that. I have people who don't pay attention to news, who aren't following gaming accounts, who are texting me like, yo, was a new God of War game announced? And the answer is absolutely yes. Yes, the main character may not be Kratos, but ladies and gentlemen, this is Santa Monica at its finest. This is Cory Barlog at its finest. This is God of War at its finest. Ladies and gentlemen, this looks incredible. I cannot wait to talk about this game. This was the closing game of the show, and rightfully so. And man, did it honestly just get me in such a pump mood, in such a great mood. I am beyond excited for this game, and which is crazy because leading up to it, I was a little skeptical. I was like, okay, why are we taking this franchise in such a hard left turn direction? Why are we switching up genres? Why are we focusing on different characters? All these things. But after seeing the game, in which they revealed 20 minutes of uncut, uninterrupted gameplay, it makes sense, and I'm all for it. I'm all on board, and man, do I think this game is going to be special. We have so much information to talk about gameplay, about story, about what this game is going to hold, about the developers' interviews, between the content that it's going to feature. So much to talk about. Let's go ahead and let's get right into it. But thank you all so much for clicking on the video. If you guys love gaming, this is the place to be. It doesn't matter what genre, what platform, what companies you support. We just love gaming here. We just love talking about video games. And if you guys love that as well, appreciate all support. Leave a like, leave a comment section down below provided. What are your hype levels for God of War Laufey? And please subscribe and share with all your friends. Appreciate all support. But without further ado, let's talk about God of War. I'm going to give you the quick description of the game, and then we will get right into it. God of War Laufey has been announced. Experience the next chapter of the legendary God of War franchise for both new and returning fans alike. Death was supposed to be the end, but for Laufey, warrior and wife to Kratos, a new adventure is just beginning. Awakening unexpectedly in a strange land after her death, Faye discovers the plans she put in place to protect Kratos and Atreus in her absence are now at risk. To save the one she loves, Faye must fight through the afterlife of the gods, the Everywin, where ruthless gods from across mythology fight for power in a land overflowing with dangerous magic. Harness Faye's speed, control, and relentlessness to overwhelm even the fiercest of foes with decisive, deadly precision. Wow. All right. When we saw this game, when we heard that it was going to be Faye, it was going to be a spin-off, it was going to take this different approach, we started hearing rumblings that there were going to be a multitude of different mythologies possibly in it. We were not going to be Norse, we were not going to be Greek, maybe there's a little bit of all of it, whatever. We get in there, and yes, they do open up. I mean, we saw the whole first 20 minutes of the game entirely, and it opens up with the death of Faye, where Kratos and Atreus do burn the body of Faye, and she basically ascends, and she wakes up in this afterlife. And when she wakes up in this afterlife, she's very much not necessarily aware of what's going on, and not necessarily aware of where she is, and we slowly start to realize that this place, there is something going on here. There is a bigger story being told, in which we then end up running into two characters, one looking like a Mongolian god, and then one looking like an Egyptian goddess. I'm assuming which both are their respective gods of war, and they basically just go off. They start showing side characters, they start showing combat, they start showing different storylines, plot concepts, visuals, all these things. The music's kicking in, And we just get this full-blown reveal of what this game is. So to kick this off, I kind of want to go and just read off a bunch of these bullet points and talk about it. This is coming from Shinobi's X profile. Shout out to him for all this information. Kind of just going to go bullet my bullet point, talking about how I feel about all these things. First one says, next mainline entry in the God of War franchise. Now, this is maybe very self-explanatory for a lot of people, but there are some people still questioning, is this just a spin-off? Is this a full-on just the next installment in the mainline series? What truly is this? And Santa Monica Studio has confirmed that God of War Laufey is a full AAA game and not just a short spin-off. In responding to a fan on X, the studio confirmed that the title will have the long duration of a complete franchise experience. It will be a mainline title in the franchise. That's really, really exciting to hear, because from what we've seen, there is a lot of possibility here. There's so many different characters we can introduce. There's so many different places we can go. There's so many different gameplay opportunities, especially focusing on a new character with so many different companions, like the Cube. We'll talk about the Cube later. I'm glad this is not a spinoff. This is a full-blown, this is the next God of War game. Can you believe that? If you would have told me last week that we would be seeing just the full-on next God of War mainline game, I would not have believed you, because of all the rumors of this being so different. And really, it's not different at all. It very much is the same DNA of what has made the last two games Game of the Year contenders, and it's what's probably going to guarantee this game being a Game of the Year contender. We saw the reveal, a full-blown 20-minute reveal of the next God of War game, y'all. We are lucky. We are blessed. We are spoiled. Get ready. It's event season. It's hype. This game looks great. The next bullet point we're going to read off. Faye awakens in a strange land after her funeral. Her plan to protect Kratos and Atreus is now at risk. She must fight through the Everywin, the transcendent afterlife realm of the gods. Ruthless gods from across mythologies fight for power. Land overflowing with dangerous magic. Off the bat, when you hear this, your mind starts going all over the place. There's so many different routes, so many different possibilities, so many different opportunities that we could take here. Just already, we're seeing Egyptian mythology. We're seeing Chinese mythology. If you look at the key arts, I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit about the key art. There's a little bit of a bunch of bullet points about this key art. I'm going to put the key arts on the screen so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. This seems to be the Everywin, possibly even a map of the different regions and mythologies you'll visit. Some Greek-looking ruins can be spotted in the background. Faye's sword looks like the sword of Merlin. There's also some Arthurian-looking castles. Hopefully I pronounced that right. A giant telescope can be seen with a giant stone slab blocking the way. The castle on the left could represent Egypt with the giant scorpion. The haunted woods in the lower right looks to be another region and or mythology. Some flying white dragons can be seen here. There are 3 or 4 different suns and moons. A couple of them are in an eclipse. Frank the Cube is obviously a very important character, and I believe there's more to them than meets the eye. So as you can see, there is so much unknown. There is so much unknown, but there is so many hints, so many different references, so many different pieces of like, wow, are we going to be able to do this? Can we do this? Are they going there? Hopefully we get more answers, but the answer is going to be in when this game just comes out. It's so exciting. I personally think the idea of just having this huge mashup of a bunch of different mythologies just gives you such an interesting way to continue the mainline God of War series without completely shoving everything into one game, because we are doing a different main protagonist and we are in the afterlife. So it's very separate from the story in which we are already established in with Kratos and Atreus, where, yeah, maybe the next actual Kratos game, which will be coming, there has been confirmation, we'll talk about that later, will maybe be set completely in Egyptian mythology. That allows for much deeper storytelling just within that one mythology without feeling like you're forcing too much or just jumping the gun or wanting to go bigger, wanting to go more grand without kind of building up to it. Now we take a whole new main protagonist, which is very much established in the world of God of War, but we put her in a environment that just makes sense for this story to have so many different religions, so you can explore, so you can experiment, you can get weird with it, you can get as exciting and as big as you want, because it makes sense for all these different mythologies to be mashed up here. And I think that's so awesome. But there's so much we can talk about story, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about story in the future. But let's go ahead, let's talk about the gameplay, because we did get a lot of gameplay in this trailer. And some of these bullet points I'm going to read, and then we'll kind of talk about a little more. Top priority is a uniquely fresh feel for Faye's gameplay. Injects old school, classic DNA of the Greek games and strengths of modern God of War games. Combines movement and fluidity of the Greek era with Norse era's world building and close-knit character. One thing that we heard about this game a lot before we finally saw it was that it was going to be way more action focused. A lot of us thought maybe it would be like a Hades-like, maybe it'll be a straight up hack and slash, maybe it will just be something we've never really seen before. And it very much is. Let's just have that God of War camera angle, let's have the God of War controls, but let's make it way faster pace. Let's give you way more mobility options. Let's give you more abilities to work with so you can really feel like you are just an action game through and through. And I think they've pulled it off here. Some of the combat that we have been seeing in this trailer is just awesome looking. Whether it is the aerial combos, whether it is some of the abilities with the ribbons on the sword, whether it is the magic, the pairing, the making the souls of or the spirits of the enemies come out so you can hit them and they'll bounce to other enemies and all these things, having the cube as a companion, jumping on things, hitting them from the side. There's so many different gameplay things going on here, as well as you have those modern God of War boss fights where you know the boulder scene, the Thor boss fight, all of these things are just hitting on a level that's like, okay, this is the God of War we've known and loved for the last decade, but we are improving on it. We're adding to it. We're making it different to a point where it feels new, it feels fresh, but it still feels familiar at the same time. And I think that is a wonderful way to push this game's gameplay forward. And I mean, dude, just look at some of this gameplay. It just looks absurd. It just looks amazing. It just looks so out of this world fun. And I think that's what's so like just exciting about this is I've watched this whole 20-minute reveal maybe like 10 times. And every time I'm watching it, I'm just like, yo, I cannot wait to play it. I want to have my hands on the sticks right now. I want to be clicking the buttons, moving the joysticks. I'm ready to play this game because it looks so fun. And that's because I'm super invested already. I'm super engaged with what the story and how the pacing has been going. Santa Monica just knows how to do pacing. They just know how to do exposition, how to develop all these side characters and characters so quickly and make us care, make us feel engaged. And so part of that is the world building, and we have a bunch of bullet points here to talk about some of the world building. As Odin was obsessed with pursuit of knowledge, this explores what happens to the gods when they die. Ancient Egyptian goddess Sekhmet and Mongol-Tibetan deity Bexi are in the game. Hopefully I pronounced both those names right. I probably did not. Faye will need to uncover hidden mysteries in the true nature of the Everywin to find her way home. Deborah Ann Wool reprises her role as Faye. Frank, a curious cosmic cube, is played by Jack Quaid from The Boys. Rue is an enchanted ribbon guardian played by Perlina Lau. Hopefully I pronounced her name right as well. Yeah, there's a lot of different pieces here. We know it's going to be a mashup. We know there's going to be so many different characters because that's just what Santa Monica's good at with their storytelling. We know that's what they're good with character development. And that's what I'm super duper excited. Just from the characters we've already seen, I love the antagonists. They are so cool looking. I already am super invested into Faye. I'm really interested in these side characters. Even the little kid that was like telling Faye, hey, that sword isn't what you think it is, interests me. And just what he said, that sword isn't what you think it is. I think that's such an interesting plot line that we're going to be following throughout this game. They're just killing it already. Going back to the gameplay, Faye's combat built to maximize lethality, power, and fluidity, increased mobility, hyper-responsive fighting. Faye can move easily between the ground and air without halting the action. Faye wields a legendary sword focused on speed, control, and relentlessness. Build and maintain momentum during combat. As the golden hand of the Johnnymmer, Faye also wields powerful magic, including the ability to manipulate souls. She can strike her golden palm at enemies to detach them from their souls and attack their souls directly, opening up combos and other creative attacks. Yeah, like I said, we've already seen it. We've seen it so many times, but there's just so much variety. There's so many different new abilities and weapons and mobility options to do, and it looks crunchy. It looks solid. It just looks, the animations are so clean. The takedowns, the aerial stuff, the combo chains, all of it just looks so fluid, and it looks so polished, and it just looks fun. It looks so fun. We do have a little more to talk about, and a lot of what we're talking about is all propelled. It's all founded on the fact that this is a new God of War game focused on a whole new character. Faye has never been the main protagonist. Honestly, there's never really been another main protagonist outside of Kratos. And I know that's left a lot of people maybe worried or a little sad or even upset or against this game because we aren't playing as Kratos. And we do have confirmation from the head of Santa Monica, Cory Barlog, talking about that in some interviews. I'm going to read off some of the bullet points of some of the things that he has said. God of War Laufey is not a departure, but an expansion of the franchise. More Kratos in the future, says head of creative Cory Barlog. God of War Laufey is still part of the larger tapestry of what we truly, really want to explore. All of these different characters in there, he says. There's always going to be Kratos games. Sony will always tell stories about Kratos. Laufey gives us some place to make fans surprised and see how things connect. So for us, it's not a departure, it's more of an expansion. Kratos drives the franchise forward, and we want to follow him, but there are so many interesting characters that we've created along the way. Yeah, I love what he's saying here because I think that this is just a great example of, number one, the power of God of War, but number two, just the power of Santa Monica and the way they're able to develop games. I have a very interesting fact here. When looking at every trailer and everything about this state of play, when we're looking at views, it's very interesting. The state of play itself is at 6.4 million views. God of War Laufey is at 7.4 million. God of War Laufey by itself has more views than the entire State of Play stream. Wolverine is at 5.5. God of War Laufey has almost 2 million more views than one of the most iconic, most anticipated Marvel IPs out there. God of War has truly built itself into one of gaming's biggest, most important juggernauts of IPs, and for good reason. The last two games have been nothing short of phenomenal. Some may even call them masterpieces. And part of that is what they've been able to build. The fact that there are so many characters, the fact that there are so many different world elements in here, the fact that the gameplay does look as awesome as it looks, the fact that the music, man, the music during this reveal was just hitting. When she's trying to fully tap into her powers while stuck in the cage, that music that hit, Bear McCreary with his sound design, with his composition that he has with the soundtracks, is just special. It just elevates the game to so many things. And while yes, this isn't Kratos, he is very much in this game. We've seen him multiple times in the game already. He is very much going to be a driving force for this character and for Faye as a main protagonist. And I think Cory Barlog brings up a great point, is that we're always going to get Kratos games. They want to sell copies. They're going to be a business. Kratos is going to drive the business forward, 100%, always. But there's so many different possibilities and so many different options on the table because you've built up such a world and such an IP that is so loved within so many characters. There's so many different outlets that you can use here. Why not explore? Why not try some new things if you still do have the promise that yes, we will come back to Kratos at some point? And I guarantee you we will, because as of right now, it sounds like there is 3 active development projects from Santa Monica, being the God of War remake trilogy, which we're already getting remake of the first 3 games, so there's some Kratos. We're getting God of War Laufey, which is obviously focused on Faye with Kratos in it, and there is rumors that there is still another game in development at Santa Monica. And we do believe that to be the next Kratos-focused God of War game, probably set in Egyptian mythology or something like that. So I would not be worried. I would not be upset. We will still get that. In the meantime, let's look at what's in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. God of War Laufey is here, and it looks absolutely incredible. Everything is firing on every cylinder that you want it to. The story is hitting. The gameplay is incredible looking. The music is phenomenal. The visuals look great. Characters are interesting. Plot points are interesting. The presentation, Santa Monica and their presentation, just the way you enter into the start of the game where you have that awesome transition into just this freeze frame where the button X pops up and it says start game. Just the presentation at which Santa Monica is able to do, they're doing it at a level no other studio really does outside of like Naughty Dog and CD Projekt Red and From Software, some of these absolute best of the best, because Santa Monica is one of the best of the best, and this game looks to be one of the best of the best, and it will be probably a guaranteed Game of the Year nominee whenever this comes out. And to end that off, we do have a little bit of information about when we might expect this game, because Jason Schreier is reporting that this is going to be a 2027 game. And if that is the case, next year is not only looking great for PlayStation, but it's just looking great because this game is going to be there and it's going to be an absolute banger. That is for sure. There's so much more that I could talk about. We could go back and forth about some of the gameplay things that we saw, some of the awesome camera angles that just look fantastic. There's so much we could talk about. We did just get 20 whole minutes of the next God of War game. Still can't believe it, and I'm still on just such a high of it. But we'll have to wait and see more, and I can't wait to play this game when it eventually does release, hopefully next year. But let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on God of War Laufey? I'd love to talk about it. Just love to talk about games, especially when we just have such a fun state of play that just happened, revealing so many games and so many release dates and some cool trailers and just giving us information. It's a great time to be a gamer. Be excited, be happy. Let's go. I'll see you in the next one. Johnnymmer out. Peace.